But you've also indicated, Mel, that there might be other areas within the mouth, not just the tongue. You spoke about teeth, maybe, and problems with teeth and gums. Could you talk about that at all?
Certainly. Bacteria lie in between the teeth and the gums. And we'll talk about that a bit later. But essentially, our current way of thinking is that bacteria, especially between the teeth, can really smell. And one of the ways of demonstrating this is just, you can do this in your home, is just simply use some floss that doesn't have a mint odor or flavor to it, and floss between your teeth, especially the back ones, and smell each time you pass with the floss. You're liable to find that some areas smell particularly foul. If you can't use floss, and some people cannot, you can use one of these triangular dental toothpicks that are favored by some dentists, partly because they're easier to use and floss is a little bit difficult. And you can also pass these picks in between your teeth and smell them. And certainly, in many patients, some of the smell is probably coming from in between their teeth.
So between the spoon test on the back of your tongue and the use of the dental floss in between your teeth, would you then be able to diagnose or self-diagnose most of your bad breath problems?
You would, if you could be objective about it.
Oh, is there a problem?
Oh, yes. Now we come to the real problem. You can smell your own oral odors. You can lick your wrist, and you can smell it, and you can sometimes in the morning cup your hands over your mouth and smell the odor. And you can smell the odor coming from the floss or the dental picks. But what is very difficult to do is to give yourself an objective score. Like, is this slight odor, medium, or ugly odor? This is what people have the most difficulty to do, and this illustrates the real importance of bringing additional people in. Now, if you can't bring in someone from your family, a good friend, okay, then the first person that you should see is your dentist. Now, the reason that you would go to your dentist rather than gastroenterologist, for example, or a physician, is that most cases of bad breath, perhaps over 90%, are coming from somewhere in your mouth.
And are those bad smells that are coming from the mouth, are most of them caused by bacteria, or can there be other causes?
Okay. In the mouth, there's about 500 different species of bacteria and thousands of different individual strains. And some of these, when we take them out of the mouth and we play with them in the laboratory, smell much worse than others. It's hard to know exactly which caused the bad breath, but there's also another point here in that they each feed off of different kinds of foods in the mouth. So the bacteria that are feeding off of this mucus on the tongue are liable to produce odors that are quite different than the bacteria that are feeding on food remains and tissue and dead cells in between your teeth and gums.
Are there, for example, certain kinds of foods that we can eat, such as maybe cheese or milk, compared to fruits that are going to cause more bad breath than others then because of that bacterial mat that's growing on the tongue and around the teeth?
Okay, so let's start with the foods that are regarded as those that help reduce the bad breath, and then we'll get to the ugly kind later. For thousands of years, different cultures have used different kinds of foods to fight off bad breath. Well, I have here in front of me perhaps the most ancient cure, certainly the most ancient one that I know of, and this is the original biblical chewing gum mentioned in the book of Genesis and later in the Jewish Talmud. This gum is produced from a tree that grows in the Isle of Chios, a Greek island off the coast of Turkey, and has been harvested there for at least 4,000 or 5,000 years. And this gum has been used for bad breath all around the Mediterranean basin. It's actually a resin from this tree. Other cultures have used other kinds of vegetables. For example, many cultures use chewing mint, regard chewing mint as a good way to reduce bad breath. Out east, in the Far East, they chew fennel seeds. Many cultures chew parsley. In Thailand, they peel guayavas and chew the peels. In China, they make a soup out of bark of wood.
Do these types of foods then prevent bad breath from forming, or do they mask it? Do they cover over the bad breath that's already existent?
They probably do a little bit of both. I mean, when you chew mint, the mint releases some oils into your mouth, and these oils have antibacterial activity. In addition, just chewing anything clears your mouth of dead cells, bacteria, and saliva also kills bacteria. So you have here kind of a joint attack. So even if you, let's say, chew sugarless gum for a minute or two during the course of the day, then you're apt to reduce your bad breath at least for a while, maybe an hour. So just chewing anything essentially will get the saliva flowing, get rid of a lot of bacteria and odors for a time. Now let's go a bit to the ugly side, the foods that cause bad breath. Well, of course, everybody knows that if you eat garlic and you eat onions, and several other kinds of foods of this sort, then odors are produced. Some of them stick in your mouth. Some of them get into your bloodstream and percolate out through your lungs for a day or more. But what people should know is that milk products, for example, can ferment in your mouth and can cause odors, as can any food that has protein that gets stuck in between your teeth, such as meat or fish. And these foods, you have to clean your mouth after you use them.
So you've talked so far about how we can identify ourselves, bad breath, in our own mouths. You've talked about what might be some of the causes, but I think what perhaps is most on our mind is what kinds of things can we do at home to prevent or cover up or somehow stop this from being a problem. Let's say, for example, that I use this spoon and I find, oh, boy, that doesn't smell very good. What am I going to do about it?
Okay. Well, before you go to the dentist, you might ask your significant other, your confidant, to smell the spoon and to make a judgment whether that's similar to your bad breath. You might ask your significant other to smell the odor coming from your nose and compare it with the odor coming from your mouth. This is because if the odor appears to be coming mostly from your nose rather than your mouth, this could indicate that something is going on in your nasal passages, and then you might be prompted to go straight to an ear, nose, throat specialist. But again, in the large majority of cases, bad breath comes from the mouth. So the dentist is the first person that you should consult in a professional way.
Are dentists knowledgeable about this problem generally?
Well, they're becoming so. More and more articles are being written about bad breath in the professional literature. A lot of seminars are being given. We've held 2 international congresses, a 3rd coming up next summer. The book is out. We've done our best to try and bring the research findings to the public of dentists. In addition, there are several thousand dentists that offer breath clinic services today. So I would hope that many of them know what they're doing.